When I launched my very first print store, I had no idea if it would be successful or not. I had less than 4,000 followers across all of my social media platforms at the time. And to be honest, I didn't really like posting on social media, let alone putting my face on social media. Honestly, I would have been stoked if I even made $1,000 on this first print drop that I did. Well, to my surprise, at the end of that first print store I did, I made over $10,000 in sales. And 1 year and 2 print drops later, I made over $60,000 in sales selling my artwork. And in this video, I'm gonna tell you exactly what I did so it can help you have success too. The type of work I was selling was my photography, and I do a particular type of photography called astrophotography. And that's where I take photos of things like the Milky Way, nightscapes, or even deep sky objects like galaxies and nebula. I knew there was some interest early on in my work because I had a couple people over the time period I was posting my work on social media reach out asking if my work was available for purchase. So over time, that sparked the idea in my head that maybe I could sell my work. There were people interested. Maybe there would be more people interested in buying my work as prints.
I'm having one of those things. You know, a headache with pictures.
An idea?
The main points I had to ask myself was, what value do I provide? What did I use to sell prints? And how did I sell these prints? And I've used this strategy to help a lot of my other photography and astrophotography friends sell their own work as well and have good success doing it. And now I want to share it with you. Let's touch on that first point, which is what value do I provide? The number one mistake I see creatives make is that they don't provide their potential customers with any value whatsoever, or they mistake vanity for value. So they say things like, oh, I have X amount of followers, like I'm so popular, or I'm the best photographer at this thing, or my equipment costs so much, or whatever, blah, blah, blah. None of that stuff matters to your audience. Learning what is important to your followers helps you understand what it is they like about your work. Then you can learn what value your work brings to your audience. So if you don't know what value you provide people, the best thing you can do is ask your audience, ask your friends, ask your family, ask your followers, like what is it about your work that they really like? So you can really understand what it is that's valuable to your audience. And it could be multiple things, and that's totally fine, but you want to hone in on the ones that you know you can communicate effectively and the ones that resonate with you the best. Using the photography example again, you know, just because you took a photo that you really like and you think is amazing, or just because a photo you captured was technically really, really difficult to obtain, doesn't mean people are gonna care. Those things may matter to you, but you need to understand that those things aren't gonna matter to the people who want to buy your work. You have to be able to differentiate your work from other people's work. For example, I do astrophotography, but I'm not the only astrophotographer out there. So the way I differentiate myself is the reason why I go out and take these photos. I know not everybody has access to big telescopes, and I know not everybody has the ability to leave their homes in the city or the suburbs and go out to rural areas or dark sky locations to experience the night sky as it's meant to be seen. So I take these photos so I can capture the beauty and the awe and the experience of what it's like being under the night sky, so people can have that experience in their homes. So every time they come home and they see that astro photo on their wall, they're reminded of the beauty of the night sky. You see how great that sounds compared to, I'm a great photographer and I took this really cool photo because I think nature is cool and I use really expensive equipment and I have 150,000 followers on Instagram. That's why you gotta buy my stuff. It's such a stark difference between those two. Once I understood what value I was providing people, I used that throughout all of the campaigns that I did when launching these print stores. And I made sure that ran true through all of the copy that I wrote whenever I was talking on social media or anything like that. I made sure that at the heart of everything, it was all related to the thing that was valuable to my audience. And in my case, it was reconnecting people to the night sky, especially those who didn't have access to dark skies. Let's move on to the next section, which is how did I sell? So first, I needed a website, so I chose Shopify. One, because I was already used to using Shopify from a previous job, so I had experience with it. But two, Shopify makes it really easy to sell stuff online because I wanted to make my stuff available online because I had no idea where most of my audience was from. So Shopify made it really easy for people to come to my website and purchase a print. The next thing I needed to do, which is probably one of the most important things, is choose a printer. What printing service did I want to do? Now, I chose to do print on demand, and I know a lot of print on demand services are not good. Their quality is just trash. And I found that out because I tried about 15 different print on demand printers before I actually found one that did really, really high quality and had exceptional customer service. The ones that I went forward with is a company based in the UK called The Print Space. And one, I really liked them because they were professional, their quality was incredible, and they really, really focused on fine art prints and photography prints. And two, they had a direct integration with Shopify, so it made my life a lot easier. And not having to pick, pack, and ship all of these prints on my own freed me up to just focus on the marketing side. Next, I had to choose what photos of mine I wanted to sell. And that is one of the toughest questions to answer. It's like choosing which child is your favorite. The first thing I did was I went to my social media and I looked at my top performing photos. And I picked between 10 and 12 of them. And then I picked between 2 and 4 of my personal favorite photos that maybe didn't get as much love, but I was personally proud of. Then I went to friends, family, neighbors, random people on the street. I asked my social media followers, of these, which ones do you like? And I cut it down from like 16 images to 8 because I did not want to have too many images available on my site. So I started out with about 16 images and I cut it down to 8, and those were the 8 that I was going to move forward with and make available on my print shop. And the reason why you don't want too many options for people is the paradox of choice. If you give people too many options, they'll take much longer to make up their mind about which one they want, and then they'll be like, oh, I gotta go and I'll figure it out later, and then they never come back and they never purchase. If you have fewer, they're gonna see the one that they like right away and pick that one. After that, you have to pick what sizes you want to make available. Do you want like a small 5x7? Do you want a huge 32x40? Do you want somewhere in between? Do you want to go massive? And that's really up to you. But what I did was I went online and I looked on Amazon and at Michael's at what the most common picture frame sizes were. And once I found what those common framing sizes were, I picked a small, medium, and large print size to make available to people. I only wanted 3 options. I didn't want to give people too many options for the same reason that we talked about before. I don't want to overwhelm them. And I also only sold these prints as paper prints. I didn't want to sell the metal prints, and I didn't want to sell them with frames because I didn't want to add that hassle of me having to find what frames people want, what colors people wanted. I didn't know what would go good in people's homes. And so leaving that up to the person allows them to fit your photography or your artwork best with whatever works for their home. And of course, we need to talk about pricing. Price is going to depend on how much it costs you to print and ship your prints. And at the end of the day, you need to make sure you're making a profit, and not a minuscule amount either. You want to actually be making money from this. I chose price based on what I thought people would pay. So if my small 8x10 print cost me $30 to print and ship to the customer, then I would charge $60. That's how I started out. And it worked really well because I found what people were willing to pay. And what I did was with the small one, I just doubled that amount. With the middle size, what I did was I would charge, $75 or $100 to see if people were willing to buy that. And then with the really, really big ones, I charged a huge amount just to see if people were willing to pay for those really, really big prints, because they did cost more to make and they cost more to ship. So it was a great way to start out with getting an understanding of what people were willing to pay. And then after that, On subsequent print stores that you have, you can adjust your pricing accordingly. Price will always be up to you. Just remember not to get too greedy because you might drive people away by having things that are too high priced.
Money, 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 money.
With all of that discussed, it's time to move on to the next step, which is my selling strategy. The strategy that I utilize to help get me over $60,000 in sales with my print work. My selling strategy was broken down into 3 components. It was the 1-month buildup that I had, it was the time-limited strategy that I used, and it was the email marketing that led to the success of all of the print stores that I did. Let's start with that last one, which is email. Now, email is one of the most powerful tools you can utilize as a brand, as an artist, as a photographer, as a whatever. Having an email list is so important. Now, why is an email list so important? Well, let me give you an example. Instagram used to be a photography-based platform. And then with the onset of things like TikTok, Instagram shifted to become a short-form video platform. And so now all of those photographers who were worried about their brand and their reach really got screwed over by that change, because the algorithm no longer favored their photos, it favored anybody who was doing that short form content. And so it left all of those photographers in the dust. Now, if you had an email service, if you had an email list, you wouldn't have to worry about algorithm changes. You can bypass all of those algorithm changes. You can bypass the, being shadow banned or any of that stuff and reach your audience directly. You can go directly into their inbox. That's why email is so powerful when it comes to marketing and communicating with people. When you're first starting your email list, it's probably not going to be that big. Or if you were like me, you started at 0. So what I did was I got my friends on there, I got my family on there, and I got people foolish enough to be within 5 feet of me because I was showing them my work and I was telling them about my print store that was up and coming, and I was getting excited, I was getting stoked, and I was getting their email and throwing it on the email list. The platform that I used was called Klaviyo, but there are tons of email service providers that you can use. Another way I grew my email list was through social media. And it's really difficult to get people to have them give you their email address. So what I did was I gave them a value exchange. In exchange for their email, I would give them, let's say, a free phone wallpaper of one of my pieces of work. I would also incentivize people to sign up for my email list. And some of the strategies I used was I gave them early access to the print launch, let them in maybe an hour or 2 before it went public so they could obtain prints that were, limited edition or only a certain number available. And other things I did too was I made designs that were only available to people on the email list. So those are some strategies you can use to help grow and incentivize people to join your email list. And one thing to keep in mind is not everybody who signs up is going to buy the first time around. But if you're doing multiple print drops down the road, those people who didn't buy the first time are definitely going to be people who are looking and seeing the emails coming in and are potential buyers for your future print drops. That's why it's so important to have this email list. The other strategy that I used was using time itself. I used time as my strategy. I made things only available for a limited amount of time, whether that was 1 week or 2 weeks, or only a limited number of pieces available on the website. This time-limited strategy incentivized people to buy right away, because if they waited a week or 2, they might not be able to get what they wanted. And one thing I really emphasized was that the prints that were available at that time were not going to be available again, or not going to be available for a very, very, very long time after that print store. So again, it incentivizes people to buy because they might not get that piece they love ever again, or at least for an extremely long time. And finally, let's talk about the 1-month buildup. That's right, you heard me. You need at the very least, 1 month, 30 days to build up hype for your print drop. You need that much time because you need people to be able to see your work over and over and over again. You need to get it in front of people, and you need to get it in front of people multiple times. And not just your work, but the idea that you're launching a print store. People only seeing that you're launching a print store once, like if they only see it once in their timeline, they're gonna forget the next day. They're gonna forget the next hour that they saw it. But if they saw it 2 weeks ago, and then they saw it a week ago, and then they saw it yesterday, and they saw it today, they're gonna remember, oh yeah, Ian's doing a print store. I gotta make sure I check that out. You need to be able to give people the opportunity to see that you're launching a print store. And again, just because you post something doesn't mean everyone on your social media is gonna see it. We all know how backwards the algorithms are nowadays. We all know that your reach really gets suppressed on a lot of these platforms. And so you have to be able to show people multiple times that you're launching a print store for them to understand that you're launching a print store. It needs to get in their head, and you need to get them excited about it too. You have to be so excited every time you talk about it. Your personality has to come out. So what does this 1 month of build-up actually look like? Well, I'll give you a high-level overview of what I did during my print stores, and hopefully that gives you some inspiration and some idea of what needs to go into hyping up your print shops. What I did is I broke it up into 4 weeks. You know, the first week being announcing it, and then the last week, week 4, being the time that it's actually launching. So for week 1, I posted 2 to 3 times per platform, and all I really did was announce that I was doing a print shop, maybe give people a sneak preview of 1 or 2 of the prints that were gonna be available, and I told people about the email list and the benefits of being on the email list. And when I say I posted 2 to 3 times, I really do mean per platform. So Facebook 2 to 3 times, TikTok 2 to 3 times, Instagram 2 to 3 times, all the social media outlets that you have available to you. In week 2, I upped the posting a bit. So this time I went 3 to 4 times a week per platform. And I started giving people more information about the prints, you know, what they're made of, again, revealing more that are going to be available on the shop, and talking about the perks of the email list. When week 3 rolls around, I up my game even more. Now I'm posting 5 to 6 times a week because we're getting close to the launch of your print store. Revealing more designs, getting more people signing up to the email list, showing people behind the scenes of what goes into making a print store, talking about the quality, talking about the sizes, all of those different things. And finally, week 4 comes. It's the week of the launch. This one you're posting every single day or even multiple times a day on each platform. Again, getting the email list going, talking about the perks of the email list, getting people excited about what's happening, because it really is an exciting event. You're launching a print store. Like, how freaking cool is that? Your work is now going to be available and people are going to be able to buy it, and they can hang it in their homes to remind them that space is amazing and it's beautiful. At least that's, you know, for what I did. So like I was saying, you want to post multiple times a day and you want to be very authentic. You really want to get people excited about it. Really good music if you're on Instagram or TikTok, like getting people dancing. You're just building up the hype. You're sending out emails now to the people who are on your email list to remind them that the launch is coming up, as well as posting on social media about the upcoming launch. Then when the store is going live, it's the day of. You know, if you have an email for early access, you send that out, and then you tell people about the launch of the store. You get people excited about it. You post that it's live. You talk about the people coming in. If you get a sale, you get stoked about the sale. Even if it's 1, even if it's 2, even if it's 5, it doesn't matter how many. If somebody buys something, you get excited about it and you show people like, dude, someone just bought something from me. How freaking cool is that? Because at the end of the day, that's what you want. You want people to purchase your stuff. You want people to buy your prints. And it really is exciting. Like, someone is supporting you. Someone is giving their hard-earned money to you because they want to support your dream of making your work available. And your work really means something to them, enough to where they gave you money in exchange for a print of it. They want it on their walls, or they want to give it as a gift, or whatever it is. It's so exciting that they're buying it from you. Throughout when the store is live, what I did was I used my email service provider, which was Klaviyo, and I sent people who didn't buy yet email reminders that the store is closing soon, stuff's still available, making sure that I emailed the people who didn't purchase to try and get them to purchase. And of course, I'm posting on social media constantly. So if the store is only open for 2 weeks, I'm posting constantly for 2 weeks, letting people know about the store while the store is still going. If anything is sold out, you get excited about that and tell people about it. And you let people know when the store is closing. And during that whole time, you've got emails going out to the people who have not purchased yet. It's all about the hype. You want to be excited about your work and you want to be authentic about your work. People will get excited if you're excited. Things you should also do to help you out when you're just starting out is you get your friends to promote on social media. You get your family to help promote you. You get people on your social media that you're friends with online to help promote. Any little bit helps when you're just starting out. And before I end this video, there's one last thing I want to talk about, which is making a low-cost product option available. There are going to be people who want to support you, but they can't afford the $80, $150, $500 prints that you're making available. So in order to allow them to support you, what you can do is do what I did, which was make a digital photo bundle or digital art bundle available for them to purchase for a low cost, $5, $10, something like that. I took all of my images that were going to be available as prints and I converted them into PC and phone wallpapers that when they bought, they can download it and they can make it their desktop background, they can make it their phone background. And again, it just gives people a way to support you, especially if they can't afford those higher cost items. I hope this video gave you a lot of value, and if it did, consider liking and subscribing. It really helps me out, or leave a comment if you have any questions. I'm always happy to help. Thanks so much for watching. Have a good one.